Welcome back to the LEC studio. Over the next 3 games, it is time for the top 6 teams to prove themselves, starting with Rogue versus Mad Lions. Both teams are currently tied for 5th, and whoever wins this game takes a huge steps towards securing a favorable seed for playoffs. This is a battle that could dictate seeding in the postseason, and there's one other angle to remember. If you're an XL fan, you're going to be cheering for Rogue, since they own the head-to-head with Mad, and ideally would look to be pip them in the postseason. Also, as a quick aside, XL have gotten one-on-one every single week this split. They play Fnatic and G2 next week, so that means XL are going to beat one of those teams. Hashtag quick stats. Let's turn our attention to Mad Lions and talk about the organization. They're new to the stage this year. They have a fairly positive trajectory, but they are the underdogs in this matchup, and they have something to prove.
I mean, I don't know if Mad might think that if you ask them, but I do agree. I personally am on the side that Rogue are the better team or the stronger team. I think Mad got inflated a bit in the standings because they did find some of those comeback kid upset victories, especially against some of those top teams that Kadriel was talking about just before. But now they're kind of falling back really into place, which I think is kind of that gatekeeper-esque of the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that it's fair to compare them to the Rogue of Summer Split, where when they came in initially last year, that roster, expectations were extremely low. No one thought that that roster could do anything. Hey, they finished 4th, right? And now you look at this Mad roster and the amount that they've been able to achieve only off their first split with 4 rookies on their squad. It's just very impressive to see the trajectory they made. The fact that they've taken down both Fnatic and G2 is an accolade in and of itself. And I think that it's worth highlighting that they have been on the up and up. But I'm in line with Frost, where it feels to me as though they're kind of recognizing their place among the pack right now, because as we get closer to playoffs, our top teams are cleaning up their play, and Mad is just a cut behind what I think is our top 5 right now.
But if they do beat Rogue, the players that I really want to focus on is Humanoid and his jungle and crime right now. I think they're kind of the X factors, if you will. Well, he always called Humanoid that, but now he's got another guy with him who can be the difference maker. Because really, to beat Rogue, Vedius, you said it best, you have to disrupt them in lane.
Yeah, I think that Rogue is like Origin Light in many ways. They are extremely talented in lane. They have a very good bot lane. They have a very reliable mid laner. They have a solid top laner that can have a few interesting picks as well. And their jungle is very much about control, right? He doesn't focus on trying to snowball lanes. He's very much about tracking the enemy jungle and making sure that you can't impact your lanes. And when you describe all that, you're thinking, oh, okay, Origin. Well, how do you beat a team like Origin? You create chaos in the laning phase. You try to disrupt that strategy, that flow, that strong laning phase that they often rely on. And the only way they're going to do that is if you give Humanoid the tools to be that X factor that he often has.
Closing thoughts from Frostker.
If anyone can create chaos, it's Shadow. This guy has some of the weirdest jungle pathing I think I've ever seen. No, I don't know if he knows what he's doing. They definitely don't know what he's doing.
So, eyes on Shadow, unlock the X faction Humanoid. Maybe that's how Mad Lions do it, and crush the hopes and dreams of XL in the process. Whoever wins this game takes a huge step towards playoffs. As I've said already, these young lineups are ready to hit the rift for Game 3.
Thank you very much, Quick Shot. As you said, high stakes. Despite that, already we have in the pregame lobby, "You're sweet like a candy cane," says Finn. Carzzy says, "Girl, I know." So clearly spirits are high. People are chilling, having a good time in the pregame lobby chat. So I'm excited to see what level of both these teams we see performing today.
Honestly, we have a very unique game on our hands, because all of the players have like tendencies. Like when I think of Humanoid, it's like, what next champion will they find that has jumps? Because that's what he needs. Like, oh, last time he picked the Corki, has a jump, cool. He can get away from iffy situations. And then Shadow, he played the Karthus, he has the Lee Sin usually. Then on the other side, we had the Hans with the Draven the last time they popped off. There's so many different unique things, and I feel like the champion select, as always, will define everything.
Because I think it's important that we remember what happened last time. Because last time was, they got Soraka. That was the great week of getting Soraka for Rogue, where they were so close to winning many games. That one, I believe, on the back of the Draven. So maybe we get to see the Draven again. The bans have been pretty much exactly the same in every game so far today. Maybe this is where we mix it up.
Oh, shit.
Oh.
I forgot they can hear me.
At some point, you have a cough button, man. It's all good.
That's true.
For now, it's a little blanc, though, so limiting Humanoid's champion pool. I have a bold prediction that we will see Ornn, as well as Karthus, and potentially Senna on the red side as the ban. Ooh,
And then the APHELIOS first pick. Ooh. I guess this time around is a bit different because GP is actually banned from blue, and that I like. Carzzy with a jump also, but it's also something that Larssen loves to play. Maybe Larssen will just play the Syndra and will be happy with just that. He has the Echo into Syndra, so that's what's unique about this. Does Humanoid play Echo? I think first pick APHELIOS into pick Syndra, second wave is the way to go for Rogue.
What is the option going to be? I think Mad Lions kind of taking their time mulling over their options. They're going to ban away the Aatrox. So it's open season on a lot of these high priority picks. The Karthus has gone through. Mad Lions could secure it for Shadow.
Honestly, this is kind of strange because I think they could have left Syndra for a later pick, but maybe they're in the mindset that maybe they like the Ezreal or maybe the Draven into the APHELIOS, and that's just better for them, because I don't think Humanoid on Syndra, that's a champion without a jump, Drakos. So I think he could get picked off on that one.
Yeah, have to see what Humanoid opts to go for here. What the option will be into the Syndra. The pick-offs there make it pretty easy, limiting the pool of remaining champions.
It's also that Carzzy, I guess, hasn't shown so much prior on APHELIOS. This is the first time Carzzy plays APHELIOS, actually. Just realized he's the MF1 trick.
Yeah, he hasn't really shown much on the champion so far this season. He has been the man on the Misfortune, confidently flashing forward, but now Rogue taking their time. Neither team opting for the Karthus, interesting enough, despite us seeing it banned out in every game before this one, and it will be the set to round things out for Finn. Definitely has to be considered a comfort pick at this point in time.
He had to pick top lane here because there's a lot of top lane bans for Finn. He had two rough games on set. That one game against Soraka, which was against Mad Lions the last time. He got some good RKOs, but then there was that one game where he got solo killed by Alphari, which was also a rough one. Wow, okay. This is new for Orome.
Very big confidence pick coming in here. We've seen this matchup go very much. The Renekton can do a lot of work here, but have to see how confident Orome is feeling. Finn, as you said, he's had a lot of highs and lows this season. He got Finned versus Alphari. He's also Finned a lot of other people.
For sure, for sure. It's just strange because when I think of the two players, Orome, usually I think of him as a player that plays weak side. Soraka, Ornn, GP. With GP out, he goes into the Renekton, and maybe we'll have Mad Lions for the first time in a long time play a top side centric game. Because I think if you pick Renekton, for him to just be alone up there and do nothing, you're going to run into trouble because obviously the scaling of Renekton is kind of
They had option for the SEJUANI as well if they wanted to pick the Renekton for themselves. I guess just not wanting to give the GRAGAS up in general. I feel like GRAGAS is the stronger jungler, just in terms of the Cask is, in my opinion, a better ultimate. But now the Rakan is going to get banned away. Surprised no one went for the early priority there, but the Lucian now as well, the Taric too. So really taking away so many of the priority support options.
So the unique thing here about Rogue taking bot lane rotation into second wave means that they can pick two things together. The Kalista Taric was banned out, the Zyra Khan was banned out. For some reason, Rogue banned Lucian, which is kind of odd. I don't think anyone planned to play it this game. But now when we think of other combinations, there's still Misfortune. They can counter-pick the support. Usually Mad Lions would want to pick fourth, of course, the mid lane, and then last pick support. But maybe they can also opt in for the Nautilus, because some of the better picks into Nautilus have been banned. But Vander can also play the Morgana.
Would love to see, God, I hate saying this, but I would love to see a BRAUM here. Potential way to mitigate a lot of the damage that could come through, as well as save that final pick. Options, there's not a ton left in terms of really what you want to prioritize for support pool. Will be the BRAUM.
Okay.
And Yuumi Ezreal is up.
It's always with Yuumi Ezreal, you want to make sure that you have a lane matchup that is kind of bearable. APHELIOS BRAUM, even though they have potential in their synergy, it's not enough to pressure Yuumi Ezreal hard. The key thing for Yuumi Ezreal is that they want to scale. I think if they go for the Nautilus, it's more of an aggressive option.
Tristana.
Spicy.
Very aggressive option. Of course, still now the potential for a flex. Hans Sama was not a mage player in the heyday of mages, was notoriously the one who stuck to the Dravens of the world, but still something I have to respect. And what is the final pick going to be here? It's like the Nautilus, so a lot of engage, a lot of actual kill pressure, especially once level 6 comes around.
So the matchup is pretty decent. The Tristana has a good synergy, like a good interaction with the BRAUM E, because you can't really block the E damage. It so blows up. You pick up the bomb, and the E is not that strong. I would have liked to see maybe a Kalista instead, because I think just Kalista is better in the current meta into the BRAUM, because BRAUM can't really block anything from her either. Just picking up the spares, and you're going to get rendered anyway. And the VIKTOR last pick.
Humanoid.
Immobile.
Trying his hands on this champion, of course, relatively safe. Control mage style pick, but Humanoid, as you said, has been caught out repeatedly this season. So far, he has opted to take the cleanse. We'll keep you updated on what the summoner spell choice is in the end, but the swap has come through. Larssen and Hans Sama will wait till 20 seconds to confirm, but Hans Sama going to be trying his hands at the Syndra here, and second Kaiser shield is down. That's going to make life very difficult for Carzzy.
Honestly, Syndra bottom is very, very strong, but there's very few players that can pull it off. Usually Hans Sama has been the player that struggled in the past with the Vladimirs, but it is a Syndra bottom. Hans Sama showing that he prepared this in the off-season potentially, and is going to pull it off.
Oh, I can't wait. It's been so long since I've seen Hans Sama try to play a mage here. Will this be the day that he really pops off, that he reminds us why so many teams are banning this champion, limiting the Syndra flex pick? Because we really just haven't seen it flexed. It's mostly just been going mid. It hasn't felt like a flex pick, but this game, a different story. Coach is shaking hands. And Larssen for MVP. Respect it. Love the passion, Berlin, and you should be excited. This is a game with huge stakes. Rogue versus Mad Lions. Two teams looking to make their way to the top of the standings. Obviously, this battle is going to matter immensely. And the fans, sounds like mostly Rogue favored at this point. And Rogue still tied up in the standings. This game obviously going to make a big difference. We talked about Excel earlier, obviously wanting Rogue to win out here as they own the head-to-head versus Mad Lions already. But it looks like we might get ourselves a spicy level 1 here, Yamato.
The BRAUM special. Tom Clancy looks
They've been
patiently.
Spotted. Have they been spotted? Yeah. Question mark pings go up. I mean, interestingly enough, Rogue aren't going to spawn by invading or placing down any vision. They're still just going to play it safe. Don't feel 100% confident in what they saw.
It's always so tricky with Gragas and SEJUANI, because even though you invade and you take enemy jungle camps, you just don't clear jungle camps fast enough for it to actually matter. SEJUANI takes 4 by the time you take 3 or 4 or 5, because you're on the opposite side of the jungle, and then you end up in a situation where the enemy jungle camps spawn and you need to re-invade, and if you can't really snowball that advantage. So usually with Gragas, SEJUANI, take it easy unless you have some matchups that you want to impact very hard early on.
And I wonder if one of those matchups is the top side of the map, as we do see Shadow. Looks like he's going to start on the red with the leash from Orome. Could go for the just about unheard of cheeky level 2 gank. Could also just back and immediately try to play around the bottom side. Now, Yamato, when we talked about this match, we talked a lot about the bottom lane, because last time we saw these teams play, Hans Sama destroyed. And I think if we see the same thing happen today, it's very likely to be that Rogue win.
I think a key trend for Mad Lions has been the fact that they usually get the pry through bottom, and then the cooperation between Kaiser and Shadow has been so good to enable Humanoid. Usually Orome plays on weak side, but this is a complete different look for Mad Lions. 8 and 5, experiment a little bit, but we need to remember this is a key game, and I hope the Mad Lions has practiced this.
Big damage though coming from Finn. Orome not feeling great about this matchup right now. Look, there's a crocodile, he spins, he's got a big blade, but sometimes punches just win.
I've seen that movie, I think. Trying to remember. Maybe Steve Irwin was wrestling with alligators and all that stuff.
That's true. That's a great way to describe this. This is a crocodile Dundee top lane. There you go. Larssen winning out too. So trades across the map right now, very much going in favor of Rogue. And we heard from the death, strong individual players, so no surprise there. But now Shadow, level 2, ready to get something done. And one thing to be said about this lane is it's very explosive.
Loving this.
Very vulnerable. Oh, move through Kaiser. The miss. The scout of the week. The hook back. 3 stacks. They just need a 4th. They don't manage to line it up with Carzzy, but now Hans Sama's out to safety. That was a disaster. At the end of the day, they still get the flash, but they trade it for 2 summoner spells of their own.
And now Rogue now on the counter attack. They want to dive top. Orome crashing this big wave. Rogue inspired. Wait for Larssen now. No jump for Larssen. They're going.
Scaling. Setups there. Trying to find the stun. Pull back. They're going to be able to grab it. Walk away. Inspired using the passive to tank, and a clean first blood for Rogue.
That's a fantastic start with the swap of Tristana into mid lane into Viktor. This is a very nice matchup for Tristana. She can commit all in over and over, and Shadow showed on bottom side. Now we have this replay of this top dive. I was hoping we'd see the replay of the bottom, but this is okay too, right? They're just waiting for Larssen. He W'd over the wall, so he can't be the one tanking first because he can't just hop out, and then he go for it. It's very easy to execute. Tristana, I mean, with the hits, and SEJUANI with the Q, very easy.
The aftershock on top of the SEJUANI passive, so strong there. Timing out right as that final turret shot comes in, right as the Triumph already has healed her up. Well played by the side of Rogue.
And the fact that they survived on bottom is so huge. Shadow with the big brain play. Big brain play here, level 2. Rogue is not expecting it. They're playing around the level 3 timing of Shadow, and then the gank comes in. But Kaiser with the Q flash, oi, oi, oi. Really rough one, and then Vander with the Q on Shadow just denies the E, and then the flash timed perfectly. I think maybe Mad Lions, if they played it this a bit better, it's a guaranteed kill because the play was very smart.
Would have definitely been a stunned Hans Sama. Much faster. So unfortunate from Kaiser. He's going to be kicking himself for that one for at least a week. Flashing past the target. Not something that we frequently see. But those kind of miscalculations can cost you a lot, and they've already cost Mad Lions 1,000 gold. As you see a 10 CS lead for Finn up on the top side of the map. As well as bot lane going in favor of the Syndra. The freeze there, something that Carzzy has to try to deal with, but big damage coming in from this duo.
Looking good so far. Syndra bottom is honestly really OP. I feel like a lot of bot laners kind of agreed to not play it for some reason, but honestly, the champion just synergized a lot with the supports, counters a lot of other supports as well, like RGE, and I think the champion itself is just so broken on bottom.
Yeah,
so I'd love to see it.
Unless we see another gank bot lane, it just feels like they can sustain this push continuously. They just outrange, they've got better fighting tools. BRAUM is just there to protect APHELIOS, and they're going to have to be careful here. Inspired on the way down, Larssen on the way down too. The use of pressure here from Rogue is fantastic, and Mad, they need to survive. The TP as well. There's absolutely no way they escape this. It's going to take a fumble from Rogue for them to get out. Now knocked back into the wall. Larssen laying down a little bit of damage. Vander tanking up for now. They're going to walk away. Inspired on the outside. Tanks the tower. But will make it out. Shadow trying to get something back to body slam over the wall. He's going to get one. But that's going to be it. Still huge trade in the favor of Rogue.
We talked about cleanliness earlier in the day, and this is, this is sit it bang on like a hard top surface, just cleaning everything up, playing very clean SEJUANI, diving properly, resetting the aggro at the right time, and there's very little to complain about here for Rogue because they're dominating the whole map. And Mad Lions, after that bottom botch, they couldn't really recover.
And you see the fluidity here as Rogue swap top as well. Hansama uses his TP to make it back to the top side. They don't give up too much, and ooh.
Oh, everything was visible.
But they still step forward. Oh, that's a big question mark. Maybe the logic is at that point we just have to try to survive under the tower. I'm not sure. But definitely costs them.
That's a tough one, because now what do you really play through? Mid lane is a Viktor, can't really set up ganks there. Bottom matchup is now in complete shambles, because you have lost Chapter into a longsword and a Doran's Blade. Everything speaks for Rogue's advancement in their gold, because what I like to say usually, 2k lead, at this point in time, gold begets gold. This is going to snowball.
Absolutely. Now Orome is
Another one.
suffer here. Level 6 for Hansama, throws it down, and Inspired going to grab the kill there.
Oof.
And
Can they find the
Fans,
counter?
yeah,
But they're so weak.
They
Finn
can't
could
kill
outplay.
Finn. Level 6s, but they just don't have the damage. Now Larsen's getting frisky. He jumps right back in, though. Chaos Storm going to be there. Yet still, Humanoid still trading. Larssen could still be in trouble. Death Ray comes out. A bit more damage. Doesn't have the upgrade quite yet. Knockback comes in from GRAGAS on the bottom side. In the picture-in-picture. Still Finn alive. Only one plate going down so far. He's just going to walk forward. Can use the Facebreaker to pull back in if he wants to. We'll pull BRAUM back under the tower. Carzzy tanking for now. Good damage, but Vander just waiting out of sight. They do spot him there on the ward. So will not push for anything else, but Rogue smashing Mad Lions. These are two teams tied in the standings, but it does not look that way because now they're going for the big plays. The exhaust comes in, the dunk down. Carzzy can't get anything done. Finn gives him the 1-2 punch, the knockout blow. Kaiser has to run for the hills, flashing away, and 5-1. 8 minutes into the game. This is a pace we have not seen from Rogue.
Honestly, I love the confidence from Rogue. They want to clinch that playoff position. Mad Lions, the score lines are the same, 8-5, 8-5, but the level of play from Rogue is just on another level completely.
Vander has the same amount of gold as Carzzy. That's how dire this game is.
My goodness. It's crazy here because the issue was from before. They couldn't dive Finn because they're too weak, and then Finn just commits for the all-in. The exhaust comes down, but Sett is a champion that could just wait it out. He lands as the exhaust is off, and all is good. Carzzy tries to flash for nothing. He went for the highlight reel, but this is not the time for it. They needed the base of the first wave they pushed in and matched the lane matchups.
And this is breakneck pace. We had two very slow games before this, Yamato, but Rogue are just dominating. And this is the thing. Mid lane's been okay. Humanoid's been trading back fine, but because every other lane is losing, Larssen now just gets free time to break these towers. That's a demolished Tristana. She's shredding through.
Yeah, the key thing is always Mad Lions. Their true recipe to success has been Orome on weak side. But he's playing Renekton. That's not a weak side champion. And then they have the BRAUM and the APHELIOS. They went for that gank. It didn't pull through, and Rogue just used their priority to find a good fight. But now, looking for this Rift Herald, I'm just looking at APHELIOS items, and I'm like, I don't want to fight. I'm looking at GRAGAS items. I definitely don't want to fight. This is going to look very, very rough for Mad Lions if they go for it.
Predator proc. They have to hope to try to burst a single opponent down, but it's going to be very difficult. Hansama potentially
Press tab, Rogue.
his target. Orome just standing, waiting, seeing if he has to TP in. This is a desperate gambit. Question is, who's actually going to pull the trigger here? Inspired can go for the steal. Are Rogue just going to back off from this one? Not wanting to take any kind of risk.
Okay. Mad Lions using their TP potential to their fullest, but I think in this position, I think at least Rogue should look to bait it out so Finn gets a lot for the Rift Herald on top side. But here, Mad Lions use their TP advantage for something positive.
They're not even forced to use the TP, so they'll hold on to that advantage for now. Although Larssen does have TP to the cleanse of Humanoid in mid lane, so if it comes down to a smaller skirmish, he can match.
I guess the next thing that we should look forward to is Rogue just trying to set up once again in that top side for that dive. When Finn gets his TP back up, they can easily just choose SEJUANI, Tristana, walk into mid lane, get that wave prior, and then just transition that either into bottom or into top side. The choice is theirs because they are winning on both sides of the map. Rogue definitely have all the options in the world, and we just need to wait for them to choose.
And I feel bad for Humanoid, because while he's winning slightly in CS, he's up against Hexdringer and a Bilgewater Cutlass, which means if Tristana ever starts to win a trade, what did you say, gold begets gold, he's going to be making money in the mid lane.
You said it, Daniel.
Ooh, Yamato. I like the Hansama's confident to step forward. I always get a bit nervous. But now, the setup, the good news is Orome is starting to win out in this matchup. The bad news is he's chosen to commit.
Oh, the timing.
Inspired's coming in. He's going to be stacking up, looking for the stun here. 3. That flash was questionable, but it looks like it will take him out. Buys enough time for Shadow to make his presence known. The Predator icon cues Rogue in that they don't want to overcommit. VIKTOR also has the priority, so Flash saves Renekton's life in the end.
The key thing here is that Rogue don't skip any steps. I feel like they need to involve Tristana in every play because, as you mentioned, these items on Tristana is a huge item spike. And as long as they involve Tristana in every movement they do, they can definitely get away with a lot.
Knockup is there. Hansama laying down a bit of damage. Follow-up knockup coming in from Kaiser. Carzzy just does not do damage, sadly, for him. That was 5 or 6 auto attacks, barely getting Vander low. Will change once that first item comes through, but for now, they're just getting dominated here. You can see 113 CS to 87. Not at all what they wanted to deal with.
1,000 monies. He's in a different tax bracket.
Now going forward. Flash is over. That's good. A lot of damage burn. Oh. That's infuriating. Humanoid counts his blessings. The calculation there had been a little bit better from Larssen. He most certainly would have been dead. He does not have a TP to get back to this mid lane, though. And that means Shadow's going to be forced to respond here with the play. He goes forward for the body slam. The input buffer can't come out from Larssen. The plate will go over. 120 gold in Tristana's back pocket, and the lead will only start to grow.
Humanoid not in position to contest this, neither is Carzzy. Hansama has TP and way better items than Carzzy. I think Mad Lions would be crazy to try to contest this, but Rogue is just walking away. VIKTOR's not on the map.
I guess given the respect, they want Larssen to back off. We'll have to see what he buys. May set a little bit more of the context for why this happens. But an Infernal Drake over to Mad, getting closer to Soul Point very early on. That's the second map objective that Rogue have just conceded. A little bit questionably.
As Rogue, they are allergic to objectives in this one. Because with the leads they have and the position they're in, they should definitely find the timing here. But basing for a dagger, Tristana. Is that really necessary?
Could come over the wall, they're looking for the flank. That's going to be the ulti. The follow-up is not there as the hook connects. The TP now coming in. Vander needs to make it out to safety, and he's just going to get shredded through. Gravity field there. The dog back. Renekton tries to dash to safety. He'll be able to do so. Vander running for the hills, but it's not going to be enough. Good damage comes in from Carzzy. Rogue still very much up in gold, but it does not look like it when you see how this fight plays out.
So also Mad Lions have won a lot of games where they actually put themselves in a position where they are behind. They get most leads through early game, through bottom into mid, but then afterwards into mid to late game, they can actually, you know, punch through. Even in the last game, Rogue were far ahead, and Rogue tend to slip up in the mid to late game in those team fights. In this position, Larssen coming back with that holy dagger that he really needed the base for. The cleanse comes out right away, and then the Q just doesn't land because Vander doesn't account for that cleanse. And then he walks in, the fight just starts kind of rough. Orome manages to slip out somehow because he looked really, really dead to me. I guess, did Tristana ult him? No, he didn't. Okay, because otherwise I would be pretty upset with Larssen. He didn't ult him out. All good.
Had used it in the previous play. We'll have it up again now as he catches this wave on top side. Once the first full item comes through, that Blade of the Rune King, things will get easier for Larssen. Should start to dominate even more in these 1v1s, but Hansama is really the man you need to watch as the Luden's Echo is now completed.
I just keep looking at APHELIOS bases, and they're the most awkward bases that you can think of. Cloak of Agility, Cove of the Warhammer.
This is the thrift store.
For sure.
Yeah, this is the Macklemore. Just get what you can. Sadly, it just means that Carzzy's just not really, like, he's fine in these team fights. He does still deal fine damage. APHELIOS abilities obviously offer a lot of utility. He's also gone Conqueror up against the SYNDRA, so his damage is going to ramp up a lot, but definitely not ideal.
I like that Rogue gave us a little bit of taste of speed after those first two games, because as the day will progress, we'll have more and more speed. The finality of G2 versus Fnatic.
We're ramping up.
We're ramping up,
They're going to give us just the start. Next game could be crazy right from minute 1 if Misfits have their way. And game 5 could actually be anything. That's the crazy thing about a G2 versus Fnatic. You really don't ever know what you're going to get.
For sure, man. Headlines. Oh.
Flashing in. Just trading flashes, though, but I think that's positive for Mad. Hansama much easier to displace in the fights to come. It's an immobile champion.
Mad Lions with their champions can fight for mid prio very easily. Gragas, BRAUM, very good for it. VIKTOR can clear the waves easily. Rogue walking in now, Finn, face checking.
3 stacks, not going to get locked up by the gravity field.
Good
Slowly,
position for Mad.
Enough. And Mad, missing that ult though is a pretty big deal. It's a lot of CC or damage that they're going to miss out on, and now Rogue feeling a little bit more confident to step forward. The burst isn't there for this team. The sustained damage is, for now, it's a very slow fight. Orome having to flash to safety. The exhaust already comes in, but now Finn is in the midst of the entire team. The Haymaker, the dump back down, and that's going to be all that they need. Now Larssen leaping forward. He gets the reset. He can jump one more time over into the pit. Goodbye to Shadow. That's going to be 4. And just like that, Rogue are back in the driver's seat.
You could see clearly in this fight from the get-go, Rogue is winning this because they have better numbers in terms of statistics. The play from Mad Lions was good, the setup was good. They managed to kill the Herald even. You see Shadow poking the eye and then smiting. But then the numbers pull through. You can see Rogue ending the team fight with so little HP in a position where maybe APHELIOS had an item or a half. You know, it would have been better. But of course, Finn, I think, just delivering in a very beautiful way with the RKO, knocking everyone in. Look at that damage. Woo.
2,700. He only has a Triforce. Sett is a champion you cannot let get set up ever. In that case, they did let him get the setup, and now we got to see Tristana bounce through as well, get a lot of those resets. That's more gold for Larssen, even closer to a second item. And the thing that I love about kind of SYNDRA bot lane with Tristana in mid is it's not like you're missing an AD carry. And in this case, your AD carry is getting more experience. At this point, more gold. 303. Essentially 2 items worth of gold here. You know, BF Sword and a Hexdrinker. We'll call that together 1 additional item. But you can see in the gold strats, Yamato.
That is rough.
That's grim.
Super grim.
Now, to be fair, I think Mad have done a lot more with a lot less than we expected. They got so many objectives before that one, but because of how much that went in Rogue's favor, I feel like time's up. They're
For sure.
6K down at 18 minutes.
Yeah, Rogue just need to make sure that they match numbers. If they continue and keep it up, they match the 4-1, look to threaten, all will be good. Alliance trying to cross map, which is all right. They have the Herald, but I think it's just going to take 1 turret.
Not a lot else that they can do. In the meantime, it does mean the Cloud Drake goes down for Rogue, so denying the Soul for at least a little bit longer. Cloud Soul, not hugely important, but Rogue, if they do continue to stack these up, will get an immense amount of ult cooldown reduction, which does matter for champions like the SYNDRA. Hansama, though, now in trouble. Shadow, though, not going to overpush, not going to overstay his welcome, does not have information on exactly where Inspired is, but knows the dragon just went down. So So Rogue holding on to their gold lead for now. 6K in their favor and growing.
Now the key thing here though, Mad Lions, even though their position is quite terrible, we need to think of how did they get back into this game. And I'm looking at those juicy shutdowns. They have a lot of, gold to be gained there. If Rogue misstep in a team fight and Mad Lions actually get to the point where VIKTOR and BRAUM and GRAGAS and APHELIOS become that menace of a death ball, then maybe things are going to look up. But everything is in Rogue's hands. If they manage to drop it, then all is on them, honestly. But Mad Lions have shown that they can rotate and be smarter on the map than Rogue so far.
Does just continue to get more difficult, though. But the later we go, the more opportunities they're probably going to get. VIKTOR obviously scales very, very well, as does the APHELIOS. Very hard to fight against that champion the later we go.
Finn also on Euphoria talking about how they're looking to prove something. I asked him for his key strength and he said open-mindedness, and I think Rogue showed some good movement in the early game. Oh, Humanoid
connects. Back off is there. They're still going to try to force the play anyway. The knockup's now they're trying to mitigate as Kaiser tries to body block for Humanoid. They will be able to walk away. A lot of cooldowns burned there.
Humanoid without a dash. Yeah. Walking up too far. But to finish up the Finn point, they're trying to keep open-minded. The dives that they did today is definitely a step in the right direction, and Rogue want to be in the conversation of that top 4, top 3, because they're making a strong case with that early game, honestly. But now, things are slowing down, and I want them once again. The bar we've set is we want to see cleanliness.
It's true. Have to see what else we see here, though, as Finn's going to find a trade onto Orome. Shadow is, however, in the area. Ulti available. Going to try to dunk him back down. Going to try to make it out to safety as the rest of the team is now on the way. Can't pull him back with a face breaker. Orome is now the one in trouble. Big damage comes in on the Haymaker. Inspired now on the chase. The lockup is there, but the knockback is too. However, now the resets are going to start to come in. Larssen can come over this wall on the Tristana. The knockup, though, from Kaiser. Once again, the disengage the team needs to walk away from that play unscathed. And you have to remember, right now, both these teams fighting for playoff seeding. 8-5, both lineups. We thought this was going to be a neck-and-neck, or potentially a very close game. But so far, Rogue have been just about in control the entire time. Difficult time for Mad Lions.
It definitely reeked of opportunity there when they found SETT all alone in the top bush. Shadow coming in here, and Rogue responding very fast. Obviously, this SETT is very tanky, can survive for a long time, and with how weak RENEKTON and GRAGAS are at this point, they need to honestly be super strong to kill SETT on time, because everyone on Rogue is just collapsing. But in the end, Mad Lions get away. There's no Nash threat, and VIKTOR gets to push bottom wave all by himself. And now he's recalling with more money, and he finished an item. Bitch Bane. Whoa.
Short-range threat continues to grow for Humanoid. And it's the small victories, Yamato. It's all you can hope for at this stage. This guy, when you look at the scoreboard, it just does not look possible. But as you said, Mad Lions have come back from some incredible deficits over the course of this split, so you can never 100% count them out. That said, the excellence in execution that we have to see now from this Mad Lions roster is not unparalleled, but incredibly difficult.
Yeah, the key thing we want to see from Rogue is the fact that they push this mid wave in all the way. When Tristana's prior rotate into mid, push all the way and pressure and suffocate Mad Lions. Okay.
Big ulti going in. Shadow makes it out of that one. TP onto Carzzy. He's going to be in trouble as Finn walks in, but the knockback is there, pulling him back into the team. Finn holding on to the Haymaker. Will throw that one out as he walks away, but that's a TP burn for nothing. And Rogue maybe now getting a little bit too eager on that trigger.
And now with no TP on Rogue means that the bottom wave is going to be free for farm for Mad Lions. They can send the Orome down there, even Carzzy has a TP, and they're just playing a stalling game. If they manage to get to the point where APHELIOS has 3 items somehow, VIKTOR has 3 items, then things are going to begin to shift. But that's a long time, very, very long time. We need another like 8 minutes for that, and that's rough.
And we are approaching the point where Tristana will start to shred through the Baron, especially alongside of SEJUANI, who does actually pretty decent damage to objectives with the changes that allows her to proc that freeze over and over again. So if Mad can survive, I mean, they've earned it, but I think as Rogue continue to get more and more aggressive, it's only going to get harder. Stoneplate now coming in from Inspired means that even slightly sloppy engages should work out a lot better, because he will be essentially unkillable.
And this is where it stings very much that Mad Lions have 2 dragons somehow. This is not something that should happen, and there's no soul conversation. We could have been there right now in 23 minutes.
Rogue now looking for the setup, 4K and dropping.
Set this far.
Carzzy in the middle of the pit. Now they're trying to get things kicked off. Larssen now leaps out to safety. The Dragon's still very much alive, but now Finn is running face first in. Shadow's down. Jungler is down. Once again, Mad overcommitting on the objective. The pull back, the base breaker. More than enough to take down Carzzy. The reset's now coming in. Larssen on the hunt. No way Orome can get away from this one, but he can try to turn. It's simply too little too late. Larssen now looking for one more too. Carzzy alive still, but the leap over the wall. He's going to get taken down. Nothing left. The entire team shredded through the double kill and the ace for Rogue.
I find it crazy that Mad Lions have the confidence to even do this. We're talking about how strong Rogue is and how Mad Lions need to stall. SETT is walking in and just looking out long Vander in spite of surviving. Everyone's hitting them right now and their HPs are just not going down. Double Gargoyle Stove Plate are just too tanky. Humanoid with his Lich Bane is just not enough. We have the little cute insect move, and then I was laughing here when RENEKTON W'd on the Tristana with the flash. It just looked so puny. Baby crocodile.
Yeah. Nothing you can do. Kaiser goes down early in the fight. Carzzy's still alive, but there's just too many people left standing. And in the meantime, while we're reviewing that last fight, Rogue have now taken Baron. They've taken 2 Cloud Drakes. They're almost 10K in the lead. And look at those damage numbers. 5K for the Tristana, almost 4K for Hans Sama.
Well, luckily for Mad Lions, the story of the game hasn't changed. They still need a miracle, which is, I guess, as worse as it can get.
It becomes more of a miracle.
More of a miracle.
The deeper we go. We go from, like,
we need a new word.
Into wine into, like, they need the rapture to happen. You know what I mean? There's, like, different scales here. Before we get too biblical. But
I was thinking Noah's Ark, and they can just take 5 players on that boat. Something like that.
Sorry, Rogue, no room.
Exactly. Thank you.
25 minutes. Honestly, this should be impossible. Now, Mad, like we said, Mad's comebacks have been one of their biggest strengths. It's a criticism when you look at considering them a top team, but it's a strength when you consider they're just fighting for a playoffs at this point. But it's only going to get harder because remember, Excel's right now fighting, looking to climb up too. And while Mad have looked like the better team, Excel own the head-to-head. And that's going to make things much, much more difficult. And suddenly, it starts to feel more and more out of Mad Lions' hands as we move later into the week. If Excel find wins against teams like Fnatic or Origin or G2.
It's also considering like beyond the points and just looking at the scope of gameplay, Mad Lions have shown now that if they want to win an early game, it's always through bottom. Playing weak side, top side, always, 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 you can see them as a very predictable team at this point in time.
Have Rogue predicted this, however. Flank comes in from Shadow. They have. The hook connects. Shadow definitely going forward too soon. That was not good.
Looking for a miracle, I guess.
Yes, definitely not the place you should be looking. To be fair, very, very telegraphed. The team was not in position. Vander just turned, gets the hook. RKO comes in, and Finn's looking for style points at this point. Haymaker through. Now unstoppable, and honestly, at this stage, Rogue are obliterating the Mad Lions. There were question marks for a few minutes there, around that Rift Herald, around that Dragon, but now Rogue are just cleaning up.
All about that early game. Those 2 dives really set the tone for the rest of the game, and that gold advantage kept them in it. Gold begets gold, and they just keep growing, and now they are huge. Sitting on death cap and base for SYNDRA. 3 inhibitors.
And the good news is,
good news?
for Mad Lions, they get a lot more gold now these inhibitors are down, and if they kill Vander, they may get a shutdown. The bad news is, the game is over. They are dead men walking.
Oh.
Yeah.
So much blood on this floor, they're just bleeding out, man. Bleeding out.
They're trying it, but it's a shot to the gut here. The TPs are coming in. They're just double TPing back. They want to end this game. They do not want to give Mad any more opportunities. Double super minion waves are going to start to come in. The Predator's already been popped for Shadow. Very small window here for this fight, but they're just trying to delete Shadow before the fight can even get kicked off. Larssen still untouched, still doing so much damage. The RKO comes in. Finn pulling 3 members back. He goes gold and he buys a bit more time. And that's really it. It's style points at this point. Larssen gets the reset. He leaps in. He leaps out. Inspired body blocking to make sure Hans Sama can escape. And Rogue are going to end with 5 members standing. A clean victory to secure sole control at the top of the table.
Rogue made it look easy, super easy. The last time, the Soraka pick kept Mad Lions in the game this time around. Luckily, it's been nerfed, so Rogue didn't need to spend the ban. But you could see the sense of vengeance and revenge in their gameplay, because those dives happened from minute 3, minute 5, and the game was honestly just over. We were praying from the get-go for Mad Lions. You know, there was a little miracle, bigger miracle, and then
There's
the
nothing
rapture.
left. Divine intervention at that point.
Yes.
Yeah, it's sad to see, because I think Mad, the one play that we saw where it felt like they were going to finally play that aggressive early game, they just fumbled the execution. You know, overflash comes in from Kaiser, they miss the Q, the gank goes against them, but Rogue do the exact same play on the top side and then don't fumble the execution, do get those kills, do build those advantages, and they can feel pretty good. And suddenly, if you're playing up against Rogue, the SYNDRA flex pick becomes a real threat instead of a theoretical. Key player of the game, though, Finn, Inspired, Larssen, those are your options. There's no wrong choices.
Rogue played a very, very solid game. I'm looking at the other side. Mad Lions also having a very big stake in all of this. They're going to be 8-6. Mad Lions showcased a lot of weaknesses here because they have a lot of tendencies and always playing into bottom. That's their strength. When Kaiser and Shadow get to work together, they look beautiful in the early game. Orome most of the time playing weak side. Now he had that RENEKTON pick, but with the scoreline ending 20-2 and the RENEKTON being 0-5 at the end, or even 0-6, you know, the gold score says that Rogue is 10k gold ahead, but honestly, when you have a RENEKTON, you're behind. It's like 20k gold ahead because RENEKTON is just a potato.
Big questions about that team. But in a few minutes, we're going to get to see Misfits Gaming and Origin take to the stage, decide who is the third best team in the LEC. Before their match, we're going to hear from Deficio on what it takes to run a team that travels between Copenhagen and Berlin every week. So don't go anywhere.
Hi guys, welcome to the Live Like a Pro interview at the Smoothie Bar. I'm here with the Fisher this time. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Well, you're welcome. I have so much to ask about Origin because looking at last year, in Springs you guys were doing great. Summer, not so much. You guys are in second place right now. So what did you learn from last year to maintain performance this year?
I mean, last year for us obviously was a learning year in a lot of ways. It was the whole new foundation around Origin as an organization. It was living in Denmark and flying into Berlin. So there was a lot we had to learn in terms of scheduling, in terms of actually maintaining the player mindset and energy during a long split or during a long year as well. So I think there we made some good changes for this year. But I also think obviously with the great spring split and then kind of collapsing in summer, we also ended up looking, of course, at just the full roster and staff and everything, and we obviously made a couple of changes for this year as well, which have so far paid off.
Anything you want to mention about this changing when it comes to routine, maybe the way the players train, sports? I don't know what is.
Yeah, I mean, so initially when we started last year, we kind of, I think, had the same mindset that most teams have had during the years of trying to get in as much practice as possible. We would come home on a Sunday, have a little bit of time off, and then go straight into practice early on a Monday, and then you just had a full week, which ended up very quickly making people kind of burned out because they obviously don't have the same kind of day off on a Sunday when you're traveling compared to teams who live in Berlin. So there we made some changes, some Mondays completely off, some of them only half days to give people a bit more time there. Also just generally focusing on something we obviously knew would take a bit of time was kind of building up this culture around how we eat, when do people go to bed, actually taking care of both the mind and the body and not just playing the game. And that does take a bit of time to build up, but I think now we've hit a really good point with that. So we feel that no matter when we actually play, players have energy. The traveling is something that they're getting used to, the new guys, and obviously the old guys have not done it for over a year, so it's getting more normal as well. And then I also think people are just getting more familiar with the facilities we have in Berlin. We always want to keep them the same, so it doesn't feel super weird when you're traveling back and forth, but you know exactly where you're going to be, where you're going to sleep, where you're going to practice.
You mentioned veterans and the fact that you're traveling. Was it hard to break these habits from living in Berlin all the time and then suddenly moving back to Copenhagen?
I thought it was going to be super hard initially, but it actually went pretty well and pretty easy. I think a lot of them very quickly realized that Copenhagen is a nice city to live in. The office we have there, which has the entire Astralis Group organization, also where Astralis guys will be boot camping when they're not traveling around the world playing, and then where we have all our different non-in-game trainers, so physical trainers and sports psychologists and so on. I think realizing that being in Denmark where you can work closely with these people actually has a lot of benefits. That I think made them very quickly realize this was actually a nice thing.
I'm glad you mentioned Astralis because when we think about Origin, a few big names come to mind. I mean, Peke, you, Casper. So I want to know, what did this sports legend bring to Origin?
Well, so Casper, obviously, our sports director, Casper Witt, who is a former handball goalkeeper legend, captain in Denmark. He's won so many things, and my mom is a huge fan of him. It was the first thing she said when she realized we were going to be working together. That was the big thing. But yeah, he brings a lot of professionalism, a lot of structure, and a very, very different mindset and approach to being a professional than what you're used to from just esports. He's lived that professional sports life for so many years. He went from being a young kid, having to become a professional, to achieving everything he did. And that takes a lot of hard work, a lot of sacrifice, and a lot of things you need to understand when you're approaching your sport or your craft. So he's able to take all the things he learned, and he can bring it into esports now with a lot of young people. It's a still new industry, obviously, and get people to quickly pick up on these new habits and new ways of being a professional. So I think that's a huge thing. And also then the network and the way he works with these other professional trainers. I think that whole combination creates a very unique setup that's very hard to get because it requires a person like him who's now come from the sports world into the esports world and has really embraced it as well.
I think it's super interesting. I mean, we usually talk about the fact that to become a pro player, you usually go from your bedroom to
Yes.
the stage, and I mean, it's something you lived in the early days.
Yeah.
So what is your take on the evolution of structures and esports team from the time you were a pro player to now with Origin?
So, I mean, a lot has changed, right? A lot in terms of support staff has definitely changed. There's a lot more, not just help, but also like guidance in terms of what you can do to actually become a better player, both in the game and outside of the game. I think there's a lot more structure generally that is necessary, because back when, you know, when I was playing in 2013, you were just kind of on your own. You just sat down, 5 people and played, and then you just kind of did whatever was easy there. So you just ate some fast food and that was it. That's completely different now, at least for us. And I think that change is huge. I still want to see more grassroots when it comes to esports. I think getting people on teams when they're younger, obviously not professional teams, but as we see with the national leagues in Europe, I think that system is amazing. And then when you then become a professional, it's not a whole new world and everything is surprising and you have to learn everything from zero, which we had to do a couple of years ago.
And we can see the results now with Origin, and I hope the teams in the future will be able to implement these changes as well. Thank you, Deficio, for the interview, and back to you guys.
How do you do, fellow kids? Time to play Origin next and beat them. See you there.
Charged up.
Hello, everybody. Let the game begin.
You don't have a chance against me. I can calculate 90 trillion moves in advance. Not fair. Not fair.
Red Bull gives you wings.